Alrighty, it is on. Whew. What was I gonna do? I had an idea, something. Rained all day here. We're in Central California. We've had 3 really good rains here in November. I don't know if we get any rain in October. I don't think so, but we've had 3 really good rains, 3 good weather systems or whatever. Today it rained pretty much all day off and on. I think the sun came out for just a little bit. But we're light years ahead of last year at this time. Last year I think we had 1 or 2 rains in October. They weren't much. There was no snow with them. They're actually getting snow up in the hills right now. And we've had here we've had 3 frosts, which is typical for November. Last year we had none. There were some brief things later in the season, but we have typically November is when your frost comes, and which is real important for a lot of the fruit. Like we have this for you, Liberty Garden. I went out and picked our fuyus today, and they're almost ready. When you get the certain fruits like this is a persimmon, a fuyu. You need a couple of frosts to really get the sugar up in these, otherwise they're kind of bland. And we got some frost, so that's good. We didn't get those last year. I didn't get anything done today. I just in and out, feeding cows in the rain and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't have to go to work either, as far as my night gig. So I got to go to my mom's house for dinner, and which is always nice. And it gives me a chance to go watch television because I have a TV. And it's probably been months since I've watched television. I actually sat down and watched a program or something like that. And I get there and I get the remote out, go through the 800 channels, whatever it is, and there's nothing on. I mean, there's just nothing new. It's just as boring as the last time. So many months back when I got to see television, it's just, there ain't nothing on. So I don't know why, but I didn't realize I was watching it at the time, but I watched like 45 minutes of The Walking Dead. Yeah, it's like the second time I've seen it. I've only seen it like twice. This will be the second time. And I don't get it, whatever, The one funny scene, though, is when the guy lost his arm and the guy said, let's walk it off. I thought that was pretty clever. But I don't get the whole, I'm lost for TV. There's nothing there for me. But I had, it's just good. It's good to see a lot of rain going on. See, we're just light years past. We had nothing last year, really nothing, and now we're looking pretty wet. Hopefully, it'll continue into the rest of the winter. I got home from my mom's about 9 o'clock, and I got to go out and I throw some feed to the horse, let the dogs out for a while. I think it's about an hour. Let them run around, and I always look out in the field, see if there's anything going on. And I see these 2 eyes. It looks like a cat from a distance. A cat's small head, so the eyes are close together. Whereas a coyote, you'll see the eyes spread a little bit. Cows, a mile away, you'll see cows. You see 2 eyes. You can see the gap in between, but not with raccoons, not with cats. Yeah, I see this thing out there, and I got some stuff to do. And as I'm getting close to that, I got the flashlight on it, this thing's not moving. And so I'm doing chores as I get closer out to these, what I think are eyes. And it doesn't really concern me that much. I thought, okay, whatever it is, this thing ain't moving. And which is unusual, especially when you put the light on them. So finally I get out close to this thing. I have to go through this fence, this gate. I get closer. And I'm like, dang, this thing just ain't budging. Most animals will bob and weave a little bit or whatever. And finally, I get up to this thing and realize it's much taller than I thought it was. As far as if it's eyes or whatever it is, for most animals, they're down here. Well, this thing's way up here like this. And I'm like, when I finally get up close to it, it just strikes me for some reason. I don't know what this thing is, man. My heart kind of starts jumping out of my chest. And I finally got a little bit closer and realized I left my bicycle out there. It was the reflector off the front of the bicycle. I did some with my bike out there today, but I left it out there. And it scared the hell out of me. Then I talked to a guy today that was, I did those videos a while back about the rough fire that was going on east of us. burned for like 2-3 months, a couple months. And I know a guy that used to be involved in all that, who's retired now, big in fire department thing. And I said, hey, is it true they just let that fire burn itself out, or did they actually stop it? He goes, well, I says, a fire like that, you never just stop it. You just pray for rain or snow. He says, basically, it was kind of corralled into a path, and where it was going, there was nothing of any value, no life or structures or anything like that. So he says, we just let it just burns in that direction until there's nothing left to burn. And so he says, we did not put that fire out, but we manage a fire like that. And we try to keep it within a path where there's going to be the least amount of damage. And I said, what do you think that fire cost? Because this thing went on for months. And he said, it was like, I think he said it was close to 90 days or 60-something days. He figured it was about $100 million. He says, basically, $1 million a day in man hours, fuel, and resources to manage that fire. Like this is, they didn't put the fire out, but to manage that fire was basically $1 million a day. And I think it was like 90-something days or whatever the case was. He figures $100 million, and this guy would know. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's that kind of money involved in, natural phenomena, thing like that. Okay, still on. This is what I was going to do the video about. There's a theme. You'll see it heavily in the Old Testament. This is another episode in my series of how to chase a lot of subscribers off by using 3 words. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Just kidding. You'll see this theme throughout the Bible, especially the Old Testament. And I learned this from somebody a long time ago. Command, promise, faith, fulfillment. Okay? You'll see where God shows up. Look at the old prophets. Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, to name a few. But those are the big ones. But God shows up and basically gives them a command. And it's typically something that's not necessarily safe or something they want to do or something that's popular. But God says, I want you to go out and tell my people this. And typically the prophet will say, well, gee, they're not going to want to hear that from me. Or, I'd rather not. Or, hey, this is kind of risky. Or whatever. God says, don't worry about it. I've got you covered. Or he'll say, you just as soon have them mad at you than to have me mad at you. So you're better off going and ticking them off, kind of thing. So he shows up, finds one of his prophets, and basically gives them a command. Okay? Then he promises, don't worry about it. I got you covered, more or less. So then the prophet, to go do what God commanded, he steps out on faith. Okay? One, the biggest part of that faith is that God's got him covered. Okay, he's going to go into this lion's den. He's going to go in and tell these angry people that they ain't doing so hot or whatever the case is. You look at a good example is the big showdown on Mount Carmel. How could I forget this? Not Jonah, Elijah. And sometimes get Elisha mixed up, but you know who I'm talking about. He basically went, Elijah goes to the king and says, hey, I'm turning the water off. There's going to be no rain around here by my word. And God's working through him. He says, I'm going to turn the rain off. Okay, then they had a drought for 3 years, 7 years, something like that. Big terrible famine going on because of this drought and everything. And this Elijah, the guy that brought it on, as far as they're concerned. So they're hunting this guy down. See? So God came to Elijah, gave him a command to go tell these people the bad news. Straighten up or I turn off the water. Elijah does it. And then immediately he's got to get out of Dodge. So God says, don't worry, I'll hide you in a cave. The birds will feed you. You know the story. And so God gave Elijah a command. Then he gave him a promise. So don't worry, I'll take care of you. And then so Elijah goes out on faith, does the deed. Okay. And then sure enough, the people want his head. And he blows out of Dodge, and God puts him up in this cave. God fulfills the promise. So you see this theme throughout the Bible. And as you read this Bible, if you get more into the New Testament, the Gospels, and see what Jesus has going on, you'll see the same thing. We are being commanded, we're given a promise. We're to go out on faith, and that promise will be fulfilled. Command, promise, faith, fulfillment. And I don't know where, I can't remember where I learned that. I think it was on YouTube. But I wanted to share that. That'll play into something I'm going to do later. So anyhow, hopefully that made some sense. Command, promise, faith, fulfillment. Can't say it. And love you. God bless you. There's a button here.